So, good morning, everybody. I was just saying, I forgot to hit record, so good that I do that today. Before we start, there's a couple things that I want to tell you guys. So, I'm not quite done with the homework yet. It does take a long time sometimes to load. So, the first thing I want to do is go over the homework that was submitted. So, some people are saying, oh man, I don't understand why I got a 14 out of 16. I don't understand why I got a 13, whatever it is. The most missed problems that we had were this one. Here's number one, x squared plus 64. Again, by no means did I mean for this to be a got you. But if I have a perfect square plus a perfect square, guys, this is prime. I had a lot of people do this, x plus 8, x plus 8.
We can't see anything.
Why did that happen? I hit share. I don't understand why that happened. Thank you for letting me know.
You're tired, aren't you?
A little. I hit share. I don't know why it's not sharing. Then my screen actually went black on my end, and I had to pull it back up. So kind of weird. All right. Yeah, it did the slide thing, which I don't know why it's doing the slide thing all of a sudden. But the very first thing that we have, this was the most missed problem. In fact, I think I only had like 2 people so far get that right. So that is not a difference of squares. And again, I'm not trying to get you. So how I did is I counted the entire assignment out of 16. So you got 1 point just for writing down the problem and showing me whatever answer you had. Then you got 1 point for getting it completely right. So if you have this, remember, you could only have a difference of squares, which would be opposite signs if it is a perfect square minus a perfect square. That was the number 1 mistake. Almost everybody else got most of the rest of them right. A couple small mistakes. One of them, I'll see if I can find it. One of them on the worksheet said this: x cubed minus 6x squared minus 4x plus 24. This was the second most missed problem. I want to make sure we walk you through this again. There's 4 terms, so you factor it by grouping. So I look at it this way. The greatest common factor is x squared, so I'm left with x minus 6. And what I have to pull out to get an x minus 6 here would be a negative 4. Now, even still, most people wrote that as their answer. But why is that not completely right? Because this is still a difference of squares, which means I had to break this down even further to x plus 2, x minus 2 times a quantity of x minus 6. Like I said, I think I've got about 10 more homeworks to grade. It's taking a lot longer than I thought, but they will be graded and in the grade book by the time I leave here today. That's a guarantee. All right. I did decide your homework check will again be on Friday. So do not miss Friday. No matter where you are, what's going on, unless it's excused, don't miss Friday. If you do miss it, then you'll have to either attend a help session or whatever, and I'm going to change the numbers, and I will give you another assignment to do. All right, it's not going to be the same one. You don't get extra time. I want to make sure that you guys are staying on this. So Fridays, just don't take the day off on Fridays. If you do, get on here for at least 20 minutes so you can check this out. But those were the
Wait, so Mr. Riley, you wanted last night's homework?
No, I only want the homework check. I'm only doing the homework check. I don't want you to turn in that homework.
Oh,
No.
Okay. I thought you said you were grading it today, and I got confused.
Yeah, you're good. On Friday. So we're going to do the homework check again on Friday. So we got to add a little bit more stuff to it, okay? Now, any questions about last night's homework? I know that there's going to be a couple. So what do you have? I've got it right here in front of me. What do you guys want to do? What do you want to see?
Can you do 73?
Yep. Number 73. So again, we've got the 0.3, -2. Oh yeah, good one. I see what's going on here. X minus 4 equals 0. So I want a parallel and a perpendicular one. I didn't address this, so make sure you guys watch. I kind of did, but not this specifically. So solve, there's no y here, which means when I solve for x, x equals +4. Let me show you again what that looks like as a graph. If there's no y, just an x, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do that in blue. So it is a vertical line, or it's undefined, right? So if I want it to be parallel to this line through this point, well, I've got the point 1, 2, 3, -2, right? And it has to be parallel. If I want it parallel, it would be, and let me change blues, it would be a vertical line here. And what's the equation of that vertical line I just wrote? X equals 3. So remember, if it's vertical and my slope is undefined, that means my x doesn't change. So that's one of those questions that's a little bit higher order thinking. Now, I didn't specifically address this yesterday. I mean, I kind of did, but not specifically. But what if it's perpendicular? Well, perpendicular would have to go this way, so it would have to go that way through the line. It would have a slope of 0. So if I want it perpendicular, now all of a sudden my slope is 0 and it has to go through this point. So it would be y equals -2. So I'm really glad that you said that. Was that Michael or Larry who asked that question?
Oh, that was Michael. That was me.
Okay. It's a great question. And I expected and I kind of hoped that somebody would ask that, because while we went over it, I didn't do one exactly like this. So make sure you understand. I'm not expecting to see this on your homework check.
So the slope is undefined?
So on this equation right here, your slope is undefined. So if it's x equals 4, this means your slope is undefined. So if it's parallel, your slope also has to be undefined. But if it's perpendicular, then your slope is 0. Let me erase that. I don't like how I wrote that. And this specifically is the part that I did not address, but I wanted to see what you guys could come up with. Now that we did number 73, let's go back and do number 75. I know somebody's probably going to say, can you go back and do that again? Remember, this one is being recorded. You can go back and watch the video if you need to check your homework or change it. So again, I want it parallel and perpendicular to this equation, and notice there is no x. There's no x, solve for y. So what's my slope if there's no x?
0?
Exactly. So if my slope is 0, then that means it is a horizontal line right here, right? So if it is parallel, here's number A, or letter A. So parallel has to have the same slope, which means my y values are the same. If it's perpendicular, all of a sudden it has to go straight up and down. So perpendicular has to have a slope that's undefined, or I give my x value that. And that's it. So the concept is a little confusing, but the answer is easy.
On 71,
Mhm.
like what is it? 67, 69, and 71. If
Yep.
you want to solve for it, just write the formula.
I do want you to solve for it. So let's go ahead and I'll do it again. Let's do 69 because it is a fraction. Now, a lot of you guys, I know not everybody, a lot of you guys have graphing calculators. Good. You need one. You should have one. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier. So the first thing I have to do is find my slope. So solve for y. Divide by 4. There's my equation. Now, some people panic when they see fractions, and I get it. But you also have a calculator that can do the fractions for you. So the only reason I need this is for my slope. So my slope is -3/4. So if it's parallel, my slope has to be the same. If it's perpendicular, my slope is opposite reciprocal, which is 4/3. I'm going to stop right there. Any questions?
Okay, I get that, but I think my problem is like I forgot how to necessarily put it in the calculator. So am I just pressing like y equals and then the fraction?
Yep, and let me show you how to do that 1 second. So let me do this paper pencil or on the screen, then I'll show you on the calculator, right? So what if I do y equals mx plus b? Y equal, and I'll do parallel first. Y equals m x plus b. So paper pencil, it's, first of all, a negative times a negative is a positive, right? Top to top, bottom to bottom. So -3 times -2 is +6. 4 times 3 is 12. And that's how you do it. So top to top, bottom to bottom, always. Now I can reduce that. Now I want to solve for b, so I need to subtract 1/2 from both sides. So 7/8 minus 1/2. When you've got this, and I'll show you in your calculator in 1 second. Sorry. Let me take a 10 Williams and Sassman. Let me finalize that attendance real quick. Tate, are you on here, Tate? I didn't see him. Okay. So when I do this, remember, you've got to get a common denominator. So what can you multiply by 2 to get 8? You can multiply them both by 4. So this is really 7/8 minus 4/8. So your b value is 3/8. So your parallel equation is y equals -3/4 x plus 3/8. Let me do the perpendicular and then I'll show you the calculator. Any questions on this?
Wait, what did you write next to the 1/2?
Oh, that's times 4. So I just have to get a common denominator, right? So 7/8 minus 1/2, you can't add or subtract fractions unless you have a common denominator.
Could you write it in point slope, or no? It has to be.
So, well, on this one, it specifically said write it in slope intercept form.
Okay.
So, and part of the reason I'm holding you guys to that for right now is so that you get familiar with the fractions, and at the very least, so you know how to do it on your calculator. All right. So I'm going to erase that real quick. Again, you can go through and watch the video a little bit later. That was parallel. So let's do perpendicular. I'll change to light blue. So again, perpendicular, my slope was positive 4/3. So y equals mx plus b. So top to top, bottom to bottom, 4 times -2 is -8. 3 times 3 is 9 plus b. So when I add 8/9 to both sides, I'm going to show you a really, really, really quick way to do this. 9 times 7 is 63. 8 times 8 is 64. The sign in between it was a plus. The bottom, 8 times 9 is 72. So my B value is 127 over 72. The last step, can I reduce this at all? Well, again, I can just type this in your calculator. And that one actually can't be reduced.
Hold on, wait. Right by the 63 plus 64, what did you do to get B on that?
What do you mean what I do to get B? So
Like
right here. So here's B. Let's go back up right here, okay? So negative 8/9 plus B equals 7/8. So I had to add 8/9 to both sides, right? So when I added it over here, it's gone on this side, but I put it over here as positive. To get a common denominator, I call this the bow tie method. This is my own way. I came up with it. This is just doing the same thing. So to get a common denominator, I take 9 and I multiply by both of them. I multiply this side by 8. Well, that's a lot of showing work. Instead, I know that 9 goes here. 9 times 7 is 63. I know that 8 goes here. 8 times 8 is 64. And that gives me a common denominator, which is 8 times 9. So the entire answer is y equals 4/3 x plus 127 over 72. Now I'll show you on the calculator. Let me pin my video real quick so I can see it. All right, so fractions on the calculator. I turn my calculator on. I want to clear the screen, so I hit second mode. That clears the screen. If you're trying to do 7/8, I just type in 7 divided by 8. And then it was plus what, 8/9 or something like that? Plus
Does it
8.
matter if we have a TI-83?
No, the TI-83 works exactly the same.
Okay.
And I'll show you the next one on that. So once I hit enter, notice it gives me a messy, messy decimal. All I have to do is hit this math button. And you see where it says to fraction? Converts it to a fraction in its most reduced form. That's it. Now, if I'm trying to do times, I need parentheses. So remember, the fractions, it goes by order of operation, so be careful. If I had something like 7/3 or 7/8 times 8/9, I just need to put in the parentheses. That's saying I'm taking this fraction times this fraction. If I don't do that, it's going to go order of operations, which would be straight left to right. So 7/8 times 8/9 gives me this. To change it back to a fraction, hit math, enter again, and there you go. So everything with fractions, I don't expect you to be great at fractions. I expect you to know how to get rid of them and use them on your calculator, okay? So I'm not going to shy away from them, but you need to be quick with it on your calculator. Any questions? All right, I'll do 1 or 2 more from your homework, and then we need to move on. What other questions do you have?
Can you do 79?
What's that?
79.
79, you got it.
Please.
Where did it go? There it is. Number 79. Yeah. All right, so number 79 was a graph, and it gives me this. I have one equation, says y1 is 2x plus 3. Then I have another equation where they just give me a point, and the point they gave me was negative 2, 2. So all I needed to do was to pull that information off of that. And then it's the exact same thing. So all of this math should have been the same. It was just a different look at it. So if it's parallel, the slope I need is positive 2. If it's perpendicular, the slope I need is the opposite reciprocal, which is negative 1/2. Questions? And now you just write it out. So either point slope form or slope intercept form, y equals m x plus b. So my equation is this. I know I'm going kind of fast again. If you get lost, go back and watch parts of this video. Here, y equals mx plus b. Negative 1/2 times negative 2. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. Divided by 2 is 1. There you go. Any questions? Last thing that I want to do is number 81.
I was just about to ask that.
Yep. And then we got to move on. So number 81. Come on, let's go. There we go. So 81 says this. So I'm going to read the instructions here real quick. It says, identify any relationships that exist among those lines. Now, it says use your graphing utility. Again, I've kind of shied away from the graphing calculator right now because I know not everybody has one and you haven't even had a chance to rent one. So don't worry about that. Use the slopes of the lines to verify your results. Basically, are any of these parallel or perpendicular? So I look at A. A has a slope of 4. B has a slope of negative 4. So are A and B, so the relationship between A and B, A and C, B and C. So A and B, are those parallel? Are they exactly the same? No. Are they opposite reciprocals? No. So that is neither or no relationship. What about A and C? Positive 4 and positive 1/4, the reciprocals, but they're not opposite reciprocals. So again, those are neither. What about B and C? My slope is negative 4 and positive 1/4. Are those opposite reciprocals? Yes. So B and C are perpendicular. Now, I'm specifically not going over ones like 79 and 83. If you have questions, you can ask me later or during a help session, but those will probably be on the homework check. So now that we've done 77 and 81, go through and redo, or did I do 79? I can't remember which one I did. Which one did I do? 79?
Yeah, 79.
Okay. So look for some of those other ones to be on a homework check. Now, let's go ahead and let's do our lesson for today. Now, this might end up being a 2-day lesson. We're out of here in about 20 minutes, 19 minutes. So we got to get going. We're talking about interval notation. Again, the notation is new. The heart of this is not. Now, by the way, these notes are up on Canvas, aren't they? I think I put them up there. All of a sudden, I've been so busy, I can't even remember what I've done and not done yet. But make sure that you guys, if you're not writing this down, make sure that you are watching this. So how we learned this in middle school and Algebra 1 was dealing with the inequalities. Well, let's graph this inequality. So this says my x's are greater than or equal to positive 3. So how I've always graphed that, or we've graphed that, is we'd have 3. And would that be an open circle or closed?
Closed.
Closed. Because, and we call this inclusive, so it's greater than or equal to, so including 3. So I would graph it to the right. Now, interval notation is different. We already know how to do this. And I'm going to go kind of quick with that part because, again, you've been doing that since literally since 6th grade. And that means we don't need a little refresher from time to time. But here's what interval notation means. Whenever you do this, it will always either be a bracket or a parenthesis. I'm going to explain that here in just a second. If it is a bracket, that means that it is closed or inclusive. And you always go like this. It is whatever this is going to be, either a bracket or a parenthesis. It is always left side, then right side. Or it could even be, if we're dealing with a whole graph, it could be low to high. So kind of like domain and range, domain is the list of x's, so we always go from the left to the right. If it's the range, we go from the bottom to the top. Now I'm here. Sorry, nobody got that. Or if you did, you weren't paying attention. So how do I write this in interval notation? I find that the smallest, the furthest left this is positive 3. And it is closed. So because it is closed, the left side is positive 3. The right side, it goes on forever and it ends in an arrow. That means it goes on forever. Well, you guys have been talking about this for a long time, but it goes to infinity, to positive infinity, which means it goes to the right side forever. By the way, does forever ever end? The answer is no. So because forever or infinity does not end, it keeps going, I need to have an open parenthesis. Now, we're going to add to that, but that is the heart of the lesson. Any questions? Okay. Bracket if it is closed, parenthesis if it is excluding that. Well, I can't include, there's no hard stop at infinity, so that's why it is a parenthesis. So let's try this a couple different ways. What did I do? There we go. Take a second, and I want you guys to write it down. You could even do something like this, make a quick table. If you completely understand this table for today, that is a win.
Mr. Riley,
Yeah, what's up?
can you just, again, I might have missed it, or I could just be having a brain poof, but what does the U in between the bracket and the parentheses represent under the internal?
And I haven't addressed that yet, but so that means a union. All right, so I'm going to address that here in just a second, but that U means a union. Anytime you see U, that means there's a break in the graph. So union, and it means that there's a break in the graph. Okay, and you're right. I have not addressed that, and many of you haven't even seen that yet. You probably should have seen it in Algebra 2, but if we think about what happened last year,
Are there any other words for it?
nope.
I don't know. I feel like I know what it is, but I've never heard it. Like
So-
I've never seen it as a U. Maybe it's
you've
something
heard
different.
it as like a junction.
Yeah.
That might
Okay.
be right. But it's really the union of what's happening over here with what's happening over here. So write that down, and we're going to walk through this together. Your assignment's going to be a worksheet that looks actually a lot like this table. So if you understand this, you are good to go. And we've only got about 13 minutes left. So I'm going to go ahead and do this first one, number 1. Again, if you guys miss anything, I know at times I go fast because I know what the homework is. I know what you guys need to know here. You can always go back and watch this. The inequality is x is less than -1. So if I'm graphing this again, this is what you did in pre-algebra, whatever. So it would be an open circle, or it's exclusive. Now start to learn those words also, inclusive and exclusive. So it's all my x's less than -1, excluding -1. You guys have been doing that for a long time. Remember, interval notation, it's always left to right. So when I start with the left, I see I've got an arrow. That means it goes all the way to -infinity. Again, you need to write positive and negative infinity, whichever one it is. So the left side goes on forever. That's what that's telling me. You don't have to write left, but that's what that means. Well, where does it stop? At -1. Is it a hard stop or a soft stop? Which means this is going to keep going no matter how close it is. It's going to be -0.9999999, but that really kind of keeps going on forever, infinitely close to -1. So because it's not a hard stop, because it's exclusive, I use a parenthesis. Any questions?
So is it only a hard stop when it's like the inequality sign is less than or equal to or greater
If
than?
it's or equal to, that's when it's a bracket, and that's the only time it's a bracket. All right, so that's a good question, Nick. Number 2, now I gave you the graph. So since I gave you the graph, again, left side to right side, the inequality, you'll start to see the interval notation actually gets easier. So how do I say this? My x, it's closed, and it goes bigger, so greater than or equal to +2. Interval notation, the left side, hard stop, so bracket. The right side goes on forever, so it goes to positive infinity, and that's not a hard stop, it goes on forever, so parenthesis. Now, 3 and 4. This is the part that I'm not saying kind of worries me. If you're not paying attention, this is the part that throws everybody off. In class, at least I can, crack a joke, come by, make sure you're working, do whatever. Here I can't. So please give me about 2 minutes of complete attention here so you don't make a mistake. This U means you're gonna have a break in the graph. It's a union of what's going on over here with what's going on over here. So I'm actually gonna start by putting this on the graph. Well, let's start over here. What does this mean? It means the left side over here goes to -infinity, so it's -infinity. And then I look right here, the right side of this one has a hard stop at -3. Combined with, that's what the union means, combined with the left side of this one is going to be 10. And again, that's a parenthesis, so that's a soft. So it's open. And the right side of that goes to positive. I should have put a positive here. Goes to positive infinity. So you can start to see this interval notation. It actually makes a lot of sense. Once you understand the rules, it's actually pretty easy. Now, how do I go from this to inequality? Let's talk about this.
So
Whenever-
the bracket always goes with the number, right?
No, bracket goes with inclusive or exclusive, right? So
Oh.
because this -3 has a bracket, that means a closed circle. Because that 2 had a closed circle, it got a bracket. This -1 up here had an open circle, so it gets a parenthesis. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when I'm writing this, remember, this is broken up into 2 parts, so I might have to write this twice. The left side says this, x is less than or equal to -3, or, and we'll talk about that in 1 second, or x is greater than 10. So if I were cutting this out, you can see that union as an or statement. Again, on this part, it's going to go from -infinity. So left side, it's going to go less than or equal to -3. The or equal to because of that bracket. The right side, my x is it goes to infinity from 10, so it's greater than 10. Now, look at number 4. I gave you the inequality. So -3, x is between -3 and 10. That's what that means. X is between -3 and 10. Well, the -3 is inclusive. The 10 is exclusive. X is between. That's really simple. Look at how easy the interval notation is on something like this. What's the smallest this goes on the left side? It's -3. What's the biggest it goes? To 10. Was that -3? Was that inclusive or exclusive? Was the 10 inclusive or exclusive? There you go. So this is where it stops on the left side, where it stops on the right side, and that's all it means. If it doesn't stop, that's when we put in the infinities. Remember, if it goes to the left like this, I need a negative infinity. If it goes to the right forever, I need a positive infinity. And we've got about 5 minutes left, so I would open it up to questions. I think I have one more page.
So whenever it's 2 numbers like that, you're not gonna have the infinite sign?
No, infinity means arrow. So whenever you see an arrow, think infinity.
Okay.
Okay, good question.
Wait, I have a question.
Yep.
On the last one, I thought for them to like go to the middle like that, the signs had to be different. Because
So in this one, so here's what this is saying. So back here, this is saying your x is in between -3 and +10, including -3. So if I said pick a number between -3 and 10, including -3, you can use that. That's kind of what that's saying.
So the signs don't have to be different.
No, the sign, in fact, they should be the same. So
Okay.
if they were different, in fact, this is an error. You guys probably saw this. If you have something like this, this is in fact an error.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason that's an error is because this is saying that -3 is bigger than x. Wait, -3 is bigger than x and x is less than 10. This is really like saying x is less than both 10 and x is less than -3. So we don't ever use that. The signs have to go the same way. All right. Now, last problem that I want us to do today. We're going to talk about the domain and range, but we're going to put it in interval notation. Remember, your domain is everything that x could be. Your range is everything that y's could be. So in other words, let me put this in here real quick. So if I'm dealing with the domain, I'm literally just dragging it left to right. So left side behavior, and I see an arrow. For the domain, you're only moving this left and right. So for the left side behavior, I see an arrow. And it keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. My right side, I see an arrow, which means, and maybe you guys remember this from last year, but my domain would be all real numbers. Well, how do I put that in interval notation? I see an arrow on the left side. I see an arrow on the right side. This means all real numbers. Any questions? Your range is your list of what y's could be. And remember, we want the y's to be from low to high. So it always has to be low to high. So the lowest this goes, I see arrows, right? So the lowest this is going to be is negative infinity. But the highest this is going to be, it has a hard stop where? At 4. And it's a hard stop including 4, so that's all we're doing. I know we just took quite a jump. Let's see if we have time for another one. I don't like that one. Domain, again, is left and right. So if we had more time, I'd talk about this. So domain, I always want to start left and right. I see arrow, arrow. So my domain is all real numbers. My range is low to high. I see arrow, arrow. So again, all real numbers. And you can still say all real numbers, but you have to write it like this. Let me see if I've got another one.
So will that be the answer to every one if it's not a U-shaped?
Not a U shape. So that's why I'm showing you this anyway. Oh boy. So my domain, I do want to show you this, and I realize we've got about 1 minute left. Your assignment is up on Canvas. It's a worksheet. But I want to show you this. Your domain, no matter how we're doing this, is always left to right. With the left side, what do I see?
Arrow, so it's infinity.
So it's negative infinity because it's going to the left. And then as I'm moving this way, it's continuous, 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 and stop right here, right? So as a hard stop at 4. My range is low to high. So again, I find the lowest point, and this is an arrow. Guys, arrows go on forever. So even if it looks like these are equal, that arrow means it keeps going down, 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 down. So my range is going to be negative infinity to, and there's a hard stop again, to positive 2. So I don't want you guys just getting caught up in like, is it a V, is it a U, whatever it's going to be. So you have to really look at this left to right. I know we just did a lot. I really thought we'd have about 5 minutes left. So check out your homework. It is up on Canvas. Let me look at it real quick. Don't go anywhere. I know the bell's about to ring. I need about 30 seconds. I'm pulling up your Canvas right now. Yep, there's the bell. Give me 15 more seconds here. All right, I'm looking at your worksheet. Yeah, do the entire worksheet for tomorrow, and then we'll add on to it. So I know you're gonna have questions on the bottom 1 through 6. Try your best, and we'll go over it tomorrow, all right? It's up there. Have a fantastic day, guys. Sorry to take so long.
Thank you.
You're welcome.